And we are back. Yeah,
Hi.
so that's a lot of fun. Um, when you're working out there, where are you getting your work from?
A lot of work would come through Facebook,
Oh, nice.
Facebook, local pages and groups and stuff. Yeah, like one time I put a post out. I was a bit slow, didn't have much work on, so I put a post on Facebook and I was like inundated with work. I was having to turn it down and
Yeah,
pass it on to other people.
it
Yeah.
it's a little crazy how that works. I actually took us off of Facebook that first year. We were turning down 15 jobs a week,
Whoa.
but then now you're creating a reputation for somebody that doesn't take work. So I was like, this is really great.
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean.
And then
Uh-huh.
I kind of sat there. I was like, maybe this isn't really great. Um,
Yeah.
but anyways, there is a lot of work on Facebook. There's tons of it. Um, Now some of those things were like, can you install a bifold door? Well, no, like I could, but
Yeah.
it's for what we'd have to charge for that. It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Um, we also implemented minimums. So it just, this is kind of the minimum. If you want it done, I'll do it, but it has to be this or higher.
Mm.
And some people decided, we want you to do it. And I think they way overpaid for what they did, but they got it done. It was done properly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it kind of all depends. Do you have anything like that, like minimums, or I guess you kind of pick and choose if you're swimming in offers?
Yeah. I don't really have like a minimum kind of thing.
Yeah.
I would take on because I've got the kids, like, so I couldn't really take on big jobs. I was happy to just do like a couple of smaller jobs a week.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just kind of see what they want done, and if I can do it, I can do it. If I can't, I can't.
Um,
If it's worth my time, like
that's the whole thing. Does it make
yeah,
sense, right? It's
yeah,
everybody's got bills to pay for sure. But there's also a lot of good work out there and good clients out there that just can't get anything done too, right?
yeah.
Um, Mudman Dan turned me onto that. He strictly does patches. He's like the king of doing patches.
Oh, really?
And something that'd take a regular person like 3 or 4 days to do, he's in and out of there in like a day. He uses
Yeah,
five. He's got like hair dryers set up, and like
yeah,
he's a master, right? And you can make really good money doing that. There's a little bit of driving around and stuff, but
yeah.
like I do like 1,100 kilometers a week probably on my truck.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
it's yeah. So last year I put 70,000 kilometers on my truck.
Whoa.
So when I say there's a little bit of driving around, it's probably considerably less than what I'm doing.
Yeah.
um, it's when you get into the bigger cities, it's where the nicer projects are. So that's kind of the reasoning for it. Out by Toronto, there's some pretty cool stuff to be done. So that's kind of
Yeah.
what I do. But yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Um, the kids get along, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Hopefully.
Every once in
Yeah.
a while, it's you'll ask that question, people go, "No, no, they do not." They're
I think
um,
there's a big enough age gap that they're not like clashing over the same thing.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, their favorite toys are not the favorite toys of the other one, and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
when you had them both get into school, was that hard? Or like I had a big gap. My kids have an 8 year age gap, so
Oh, that's a lot.
yeah. So when Brawley like went to school, it was kind of like a bummer because you're like, well, he's growing up or whatever, and he's out of the house all the time. And then when Scarlett did but it wasn't kind of all at once. I think they call it empty nest or something,
Yeah.
where you kind of miss them. It's yeah. I almost wonder if it's like nice having some time to yourself. I would imagine.
Oh, it's very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like my little respite in the middle of the day when they're gone.
Yeah. So you could skim your
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, it's full on, isn't it?
Yeah.
Kids are full on.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's I wouldn't change it for the world. I'm a way better person after having kids,
yeah,
especially
me
my
too.
daughter. Yeah, with a son,
Mhm.
you're kind of like you rough him around a little bit, right? Like he's a little boy, right? But with her,
Yeah,
it's I'm a way gentler person, I think.
yeah.
Um, yeah, pretty cool. Are they doing anything neat? It's my I got my daughter a drum kit, and she's just taken off with it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, are they?
Um, no, not. Oh, well, they're always playing. They're always
Yeah,
just doing stuff. My oldest is actually into gaming.
okay,
Um, he loves Fortnite,
okay.
and he's actually really good at it. Like him and his friends are really, really good, and they're 7. They probably shouldn't be playing it, uh, but they're really good, and it's like it's amazing how they can just do it so fast. I don't know.
Yeah, there's something to be said for like hand-eye coordination and like there's all kinds of like dexterity things that come with playing video games. But there's like money and there's big money in video games too. If they ever like
Yeah,
got good at it, like got really good at it. Um,
yeah, like streaming and stuff.
yeah, that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, my cousin's group, they got a friend group they kind of call the squad, and there's like 15 of them or something like that. And well, we just went to Mexico all together. Every year they call it squadcation, and everybody
Yeah,
goes, right?
it
Everybody's
would be
involved.
fun.
It's a lot
Yeah.
of fun. Yeah. They play Fortnite. And
Oh, do
I
they?
was like, this is really stupid, and I'm not doing it. And then they talked me into doing it, and I think 2 weeks or something like that. But you sit down to play that once, and it's a 3 hour thing because you're
Yeah.
just like, oh, we'll just do one more,
Yeah.
right? It's like, but you're hanging out with your friends online too, right? It's one of the guys of one of the houses that we made a sample board of fresco for down in Illinois has this beautiful kind of walkout that then opens up to the main room and then a
Mhm.
staircase coming down. And he's going to put 2 TVs on that back wall. So when his kids' friends and like when they're playing video games together, so there's another setup there.
Oh,
So
yeah.
like bring your
That's
Xbox
cool.
over. Well, because he's like a super cool, like a looks like a skateboarder guy. He's obviously
Yeah.
done very well for himself because it's a gorgeous house. And he was like, man, don't you remember like going to your friend's house to play video games? And I'm like, yeah, man. He's like, they don't do that anymore. So I'm gonna put like a second setup in the house.
Yeah. Good
It's
on him.
that's what I
Good
said.
on him.
That's a real cool thing to
It
even think
is.
about, let alone facilitate, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah, for
neat.
sure.
Um, so you were saying you guys are getting rid of all the texture stuff out there. Is
Mhm.
it flat walls that everyone's starting to want?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I haven't seen any new build or anything that has ever had texture.
Okay.
I've never been requested. I've only ever had to do texture like a couple of times
Okay.
over all of the years. And that was just because they had this wall and it had a patch. And they
Okay.
didn't want to get the whole thing skimmed because they just didn't want to. So I just had to match the texture.
And what was it?
I
Just a spray or like a knock, like a what
I
kind of?
actually
Okay.
I don't know. I just made it the same.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know the names. I haven't needed to ever know the names.
Same.
It's like it's that.
Yeah, to be
Yeah.
honest, until I talked to Ice Rock, I really didn't understand that there was more than just like popcorn spraying, and then you can knock it down to be an orange peel look. Like it, that's
Mm.
all I thought it was. But there's like stomp techniques and like oh, there's all kinds of crazy ways of doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still have no idea. I have no want to do that ever.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
I
Same.
I made a couple of cool like fresco samples that I used a stomp brush and like I've done a couple of things like that just to
Mm.
see what it was, but it feels exhausting for
Yeah.
the fact that you could just skim it.
Yeah. Exactly. Like our ceiling at the moment is kind of like swirly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What's that?
I would assume that's a skip trowel. Where does it kind of
It's
look?
like a brush. It looks like a
Okay.
brush has done it. Like a big wide brush.
Yeah. That could
Like
just be
that.
like plaster that's exactly what they've done. My parents had
Yeah.
this really cool like a wipe, like a semicircle wipe, but it started and then the whole ceiling was like that, and you could never tell
Oh,
where it started or stopped. So it was really interesting. But same thing, like I would never want that
yeah.
for I think if
Wow.
I learned how to do it, maybe. Cam does these medallions where the electrical box is, like if there's a chandelier, and he's got
Yeah.
another one that he screws in and it's got a rope on it, and he just goes around it, and then it makes like a pattern
Oh,
on the
okay.
ceiling. Yeah, he did a
Yeah.
compass and a couple of things. He's really quite impressive when he's doing cool stuff like that. It just,
Yeah.
I think it comes naturally to him. I don't know. He can keep it. I don't want
Yeah.
to.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Do
Happily let others do that.
you ever venture into painting or framing or anything outside of it, or just
I don't actually like painting.
it's terrible.
I don't like it. And when we do this place, I'm not gonna paint it.
Yeah,
We're gonna get someone in. So I'm just gonna do like get a couple more rooms done. And like I'll get half the house done, then get someone in to paint it, and then I'll do the other
perfect.
half. Yeah, I'm not dealing with that. I don't like it.
Well, and you're gonna like you're kind of stuck in that spiral of skimming. Then you're going to be stuck in the spiral of paint. And having paint laying around, you kick one can of paint over, and you're having a bad day, right?
Yeah,
Or you just
yeah,
have some guy come in with or some whoever come in with a sprayer, and it's done like immediately. It feels like. I think
yeah,
that I think that's the only way to do it. They get
yeah.
paid a
It would take me
lot
too long. Yeah,
um, out here.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a couple of projects now I've kind of like asked what the painter's making on it, and it's more than the finishing.
Whoa.
And I'm like, holy shit, maybe I do need to start painting. And then the little voice in the back of my head is like, absolutely not. We'll start frescoing everything. That's I don't need to paint.
Yeah. I did some painting at our other house,
Yeah.
which is literally just up the hill from this house. And we did it, I stripped the wallpaper and skimmed it all during COVID.
Okay.
And when we had these big lockdowns over here. And I painted then, but that was enough for me.
Yeah.
I just did like painted like it was only a 2 bedroom house with a little lounge. Like that was enough. I did not want to do any more of that.
In my 20s, I got married and we had a house. And before we moved in, I painted it. And I just was not fun. Not no part of it was fun. And I can build a deck with people. I can frame a basement. I can like tape with people, and we all have a lot of fun doing that. I just find painting to be miserable. It's
Yeah.
like I don't know why. It's because it's not hard. It's just like
Yeah.
meticulous. You really, and if you touch something with paint, it's like a lot of work to get it off of there.
Yeah.
So you're
That's what
not,
I don't like. I don't
yeah,
like that.
yeah,
I like that drywall compound comes off, can wipe it off the skirting. Like, oh, that's
yeah,
another thing. I've been skimming like in some of my videos, and I haven't masked the baseboard. We call it skirting board over
yeah.
here.
I
I
figured
didn't
that's what you
mask
meant.
it. Yeah, yeah. I didn't mask it because of a few reasons.
Yeah,
And people were like freaking out over these skirting boards because some plaster was going on them. And it's like it just literally scrapes off and then you wipe it off. Like it's not a big deal. I think some people might not understand
no,
if that it's not like paint at all.
man.
Yeah.
Nate and I had a customer in the summer where she put down drop sheets, which to me means, these are drop sheets I put down. And she was really upset that there was some mud on them. And
What?
there's a drop sheet. So then Nate was like, well, I have drop sheets. And she goes, okay, you can put them on top of my drop sheets. Like, just don't put your drop sheets down. Like, it was very silly.
Yeah.
But I think it's just like you said, it's just you don't understand, right? Like we got a little bit of
Yeah.
mud on the banister, and we went over and just wiped it off. But it's I think a lot of people see that and they immediately go to paint, where it's like
Yeah.
this is you know it's ruined. Everything's ruined.
Yeah. It's just
And
a
then
lack of understanding, eh?
100% it is. And I think there's also all these like nightmare stories of we've had somebody come in and this got ruined or that got ruined, like it, I don't know.
Mhm.
But yeah, and then sometimes you have customers that are just like, yeah man, do your thing, this is cool,
Mhm.
and they're just super happy. But I think it is a lack of understanding of just
Yeah.
process, and it's like I'm covered head to toe if I'm in
Yeah.
a big house. Like you think I just buy new clothes every day?
Yeah.
um
Oh, it's funny, isn't it?
yeah, that is one of my favorite things to do, though, is have a big project that you've got for 2 weeks and you can just like run around with the tools all the time.
Mhm.
The smaller sites, it seems like no matter how big or small the site is, the headaches are the same, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Like, you'll have communications about it and you'll have opinions about it, but it's I think with the bigger board footage, it's just longer in between meeting new customers and that kind of stuff. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's true. You just kind of get left to it and have
Yeah,
a good run and just get into the flow of it. I like that. Like I like doing big jobs
yeah.
for that. But I also like doing the smaller jobs. I like doing smaller jobs when they can't actually find anyone to do the job
Hmm.
and they've been looking and looking and then no one wants to do their job because it's too small, but I'll do their job.
Totally.
I'll do it happily for them.
And
Yeah.
you're not some person in there grumbling about, oh, it's not worth my time or whatever. It's like, no, this is exactly perfect. And you're paid
Yeah.
way faster and you're on to the
Yeah.
next one. And typically if somebody's been looking for someone to do work and then you come to do it, I bet you they do a backflip, where they're just
Oh
so
yeah.
happy that somebody's doing it,
Yeah.
and then it's you and you're pleasant. Like it, I imagine that's a great thing for the customers.
Yeah. And then they talk. And then they talk and they yeah, like I get a lot of work word of mouth.
Oh, I bet.
And it's often like those customers where I've gone and done their little job and they're so happy and then they just tell everyone. Yeah, so that's good.
And every once in a while I'll have somebody call me and go, hey, you did their bathroom or something. Well, we're building a house, and it turns
Mm,
into like a big job
yeah,
from word of mouth. Yeah, and it's
yeah,
just kind of how
exactly.
the industry goes. Do you have a lot of big companies down like in your area of where you're working, or is it like a couple of little companies that would like have an army of guys, if you will, like a is there a
Yeah.
lot of that?
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, yeah, there's a lot of just individuals and then a lot of bigger companies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
um
yeah.
when I was down in Illinois, it was just the two of them, really. It's just Chad and this guy Scott,
Oh,
and they kind of have the monopoly down there. Everything's fair,
oh,
but nobody's
yeah.
being undercut because you're if your biggest enemy is your friend, um
Mm,
they do pretty good, and
yeah.
they, even if they can't facilitate the job, they'll still take it and then bounce it off of one another. So they're doing
Oh,
really well
that's
down there like that.
great.
Yeah, that's why I'm
That's
started
like
asking.
ideal.
Oh, it's absolutely ideal. um yeah, we sat around and had a beer, and they just talk shop, and it just
Mm,
all makes sense. Where the one guy's a big production guy, and then Chad just likes doing custom really good work.
yeah,
So when something like that comes up, he doesn't sub it out to the cheap guys, he gives it to Chad, because he's
yeah.
the guy that it
That's so
makes the
great.
most sense, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's very cool. Stumbling onto that is going to, I feel like every kind of step of this journey of like building the podcast and like getting out into the community a little bit more, it's like I just keep stumbling over things that just make a lot of sense.
Mm.
And then you're like, I wish I could be like here or whatever. Cam's gone home and he's gonna talk to the other big guy around him, see if they can kind of do the same thing. Because
Yeah.
nobody loses. There's so much work.
Yeah.
I think once upon a time there was this like there's not enough for everyone to eat, so everybody kind of stayed back. But
Yeah.
it's not the case anymore.
Yeah. And I find like just with anything, if you just talk to people
Mhm.
and suggest things, you never know what can come from it.
Yeah.
People are often more than happy to like do stuff like that, you know,
Um,
help each other out and build each other up.
well, yeah, and I don't think maybe people just haven't experienced that part of it where like somebody else is there and they're on your team actually.
Mm.
Um, I don't know. Nate came and did the podcast here. We like went for lunch one day. We met at a couple of CSR events. And then after the podcast, he was like, I used to have a partner guy, like not a partner, but a guy that would come and work for him. But the guy only wanted cash. And like, if you're a professional, you can't facilitate that. Somebody has to pay the taxes,
Yeah.
um, all that kind of stuff. And we kind of said, hey, if you ever have anything, give me a call. And it's worked out swimmingly.
Yeah.
We've done
That's
quite a
good.
few things together, and it was literally just from talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Did you get into fiber fuse down there?
Yeah.
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 Do you,
I use
you
fiber fuse. Yeah. I use it on flats and I do paper in the corners.
same.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Chad does fiber fuse everywhere in the corners and everything.
Oh, really?
Hmm.
I have a Can-Am roller that is rubber and it's
Yeah,
got the wheels rounded.
yeah. It's less
You know what I mean?
aggressive. Yep,
Yeah, yeah. So I like if I wanted to, I could just use that, but I just like using tape. Sorry, I like using paper.
same.
Yeah.
I just know that it's proper and that it's not going
Yeah.
to do anything else. Um, Yeah, Richard was saying it's not your flusher that's breaking the fiber fuse in the corner, it's the roller folding it.
Mm,
So when that roller folds it into a 90-degree, that's what splits it, not the flushers and stuff. So I guess I kind of understand it, but yeah, I just think paper in the corners is easy. It's
yeah.
I know how to do it. I know what it's supposed to look like. Yeah.
Yeah. You know it's gonna like it's like you can trust it, you know, like not that you can't trust
Yeah,
fiber fuse, but you know that you're not gonna have any issues with it.
totally. Uh
Yeah.
and for the same reason I do fiber fuse on the flats because it's
Mm,
I can see through it, right? I know
yeah.
that it's coated properly, and then I think it's a superior product. It's got fiberglass in it. Like dense shield is what they put on the outside of buildings. Um and that's all same thing. It's fiberglass and compound, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's neat. Did you get into the big rolls of it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got the big roll. I've done a bit of skimming using that,
Okay.
which is great.
Yeah.
I love doing that. Yeah, I enjoy the using the big stuff, the big roll.
I've not gotten into the big roll yet. I do have a box of the 6-inch, and I've used it
Yeah.
more than I ever thought I would have. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so
Yeah,
great.
that's great for patches as well, eh?
Yeah.
Like just one piece over it.
Yeah,
Good.
especially electrician patches when they're doing like a
Yeah.
4-inch hole or whatever, and you just
Yeah.
come over, it's perfect. Yeah.
Perfect for
Yeah,
that.
I really like it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited that you came on. I must say, I've been a big fan for a while, so this is great kind of just chatting with you.
Oh, thanks for
Um,
having me on.
do you ever go to the big shows like I know out here we've got it's not like the build show Intex where it's just
Yeah.
a drywall show. Do you have anything like that where you guys are from? I would assume that you do.
No, we
No
don't.
way. Oh, bummer.
No. I would love to go to that Intex big
It's
show over there.
it was so cool.
Yeah.
Um and the show itself was very cool because you were meeting people and you were like you could walk around and see what everything was going on. They had that robot that skims and sands, and like
Oh, yeah.
it was really cool. Yeah, like I picked their brains about it a little bit. It still needs an operator, but like on a big commercial site, you could just leave that and it'll run until the mud reserve dries up,
Yeah.
and then it'll sand it.
Wow.
Like it's
That's
crazy.
insane, eh?
Yeah. Um, Big money.
Mm.
But yeah, crazy. But the night stuff is what's fun when you go to a place like Intex, because you've got everybody there, right? So
Yeah.
depending on what everybody wants to do. Like when we have stuff out here at CSR, typically they'll go to like a games place where there's like carnival games and pool and bowling and that kind of stuff.
Oh,
And
that would be fun.
it's so cool. Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
fun. Um, yeah, we've had a lot of fun this last year, just kind of getting together. So maybe we'll talk the companies into sending us to New Zealand.
Oh, please come to New Zealand.
That'd be so cool.
Not a huge amount to do here,
Yeah, I
but could always organize like a cool
yeah, that'd
trip.
be so much
Hey,
fun.
yeah.
I talked about on the one of the like very first podcasts about perfect world. I'd love to get like a tour bus, and then in the very back of it where like the big bedroom should be, make it a podcast studio, and then like
Ah,
go across the country and just
yeah.
stop in, help people out for a couple of days, have a good dinner, do a podcast, go to the next one, and then
That's cool.
kind of like get Netflix or somebody to sponsor it. And
Mm,
then season 2 could be whatever, the States or anywhere,
yeah.
right? Because you could do that anywhere.
Yeah, you could.
um yeah, so I think it'd be super cool, just
Mm,
travel around and get to meet everybody eventually.
yeah.
This is the baby
Yeah.
steps, baby steps.
Yeah. It's so exciting though, how like I love the online worldwide community
Same.
that there is, like the drywall world. It's so cool. And I was mind blown when I first got on Instagram because I'd never thought to share any work before,
Yeah.
ever. Like I would just post like just, I don't know, what I would do that day, like a selfie or something, nothing to
Yeah.
do with anything really. And then yeah, when I thought I'm gonna just see if other people are doing this
Hmm.
online and if there's any other women doing it. And then I saw like discovered some and I was mind blowing. And it's such like a big positive sometimes
Oh yeah.
community. Yeah, and like so many amazing brands and people and collaborations and it's just so supportive. I love it.
I didn't even know that these tools, the first time that I saw an automatic tool was like 6 years ago, and they've been
Oh,
out
really?
forever. Yeah, for literally.
Yeah.
um yeah, I was working for a company, and the co-owner uh had a Columbia Predator, and I was like, what the fuck is that? Like, and he's like, yeah, you fill this and then you run it, and then he ended up doing pretty good on Instagram. Like it just, but kind of like what you were saying, that's how this whole thing with Phil started. Is at least that's the story I was told, was like
Hmm.
Columbia was like, we should get some sort of a footprint online, and then they searched it, and yeah, there's Phil running all the tools already. So they were like, well,
Yeah,
that's
wow.
cool, just like
Yeah.
you, or you're like women in trades. Holy shit, there's so many. And like the ones that you mentioned, like Leah and Kayla, like
Yeah.
these aren't like kind of people playing around. These are like top
Yeah.
tier finishers that are kicking ass every day. I imagine that gave
Yeah.
you a little bit of a boost in your step for sure.
Oh, it did. And
Hmm.
because I like over here, I like just stayed in my little world. Like I was working with dad and I just knew the tools that I knew and I just did my thing. I was like in a small town and my world was quite small with it all.
Hmm.
And then when I saw these women doing this and then like finding more and more people, and then I was exposed to all these different tools and like all these different methods and seeing what they were doing, it was really mind blowing and it was very motivating as well. Um, like even it's quite funny because I had never ever heard drywall taping or finishing be called drywall taping.
Right.
I
You guys,
didn't know why Tape Pro boxes were called Tape Pro.
that's
Like,
hilarious.
why are they calling it? Like, why is it called Tape Pro? Like, this is not how. I've never heard it ever be called taping.
Yeah.
I didn't know what that was. It's like because we always just called it interior plastering
Yeah.
or jib stopping, like different names, or just stopping, which is
Yeah.
kind of like very
Which
strange.
we would be like, I don't know what that means. Just
Yeah.
like go home. I'm done. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm like, and then that, like, when I started seeing people online,
Hmm.
that's when I realized all these different names, that it's called drywall finishing or
Yeah.
drywall taping.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, because I literally had no idea. I was very sheltered. Just yeah.
Yeah, but that might have something to do with how good you are, though, too, right? Where it's you just put your head down and learn the trade as opposed to like hopped on
Yeah.
Instagram. Yeah, it's very cool. Where we had it was called a CEO class when we were in Illinois, and it was creating entrepreneurial opportunities. I'm pretty sure, and these were
Mhm.
high school kids, and they just kind of came in and they like probably went and talked to a business owner or that kind of stuff. But when we were there, we had three guys that owned drywall companies from all over North America, and then Nick that created Fresco Harmony, all in the same room, and
Mm.
we're working together and we're buddies. That teacher was like they were not that interested in any other one, but they were like
Oh,
super
really?
happy to talk to us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I was like, what's everybody's plan? What's your little businesses? And they like were hesitant at first, but by the first two or three people, they were like, oh yeah, and I make this. And they're proud of
Yeah.
themselves, right? It's like, yeah, you're in a room with people that were where you were a couple of years ago, and now we've got
Yeah.
thriving businesses, right? Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah. That's really cool. Mm.
Yeah, so we've got about 5 minutes left.
Okay.
Got any shout outs you want to do?
Any shout outs?
We'll shout out Can Am just because
Oh yeah, I was gonna
we
say
know.
Can. Always Can Am.
Yeah.
Wolfgang and Faye, they
Yep.
are the best. I love them. I would love to meet them in person one day. One day.
Yeah, I mean, you should get that bug in their ear because we're the companies are flying people all over the place all the time. So it's like, why not get out here for a weekend?
Yeah.
We'll take you both.
How long's the flight? Oh, you probably don't know. I need to look that up.
So
How
you're
long's
in
the
the
flight from New
future. It
Zealand?
could be a week and a half for all I know. I have
Yeah.
no idea. I would assume it's got to be 12 hours, I would think, right? You're like on
It'd
the
be
other
far.
side of the planet. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be far.
It's
Yeah.
good.
I'll let my son grow a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then I'll try to see some people
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
one day, hopefully.
Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
there's a bunch of us, and we're all kind of talking about like, okay, well then when's it so and so's turn, and when do we go there? And it's
Mm.
I think it's going to be fun. It's a community, right? That we're kind of it's a small community inside a big community.
Yeah.
Like nobody's inventing the drywall community, but it's like bringing everybody closer together. I think it's doing a lot of good.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
so what other platforms are you on? TikTok,
I'm on
Instagram?
TikTok, Instagram, and I recently started posting some on Facebook,
Good for you.
but I haven't I
Just don't
haven't really, not
just
really, like
just
just a couple of
turn the comments off on Facebook. Don't
yeah,
even
it's really
don't
ridiculous.
even read them. I was doing like gorgeous custom carpentry work, and people were just like, "This is shit." I'm like, what?
Oh,
It's it did like exotic woods and like really doing stuff. Actually, I didn't understand why there was so much like negativity. And then I started looking at the views, and some of those old posts are like 2 million views. So you're
mm,
like, oh, There's a certain percentage of people that are stupid, and they're gonna stumble across your stuff. Facebook just has millions of people, though. I kind of feel like
Yeah.
Instagram is more of like a fun place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even TikTok, I've found like on TikTok, I'm a bit late to TikTok, and I
Yeah.
post every now and then, like, but it's not my main kind of platform.
Hmm.
But the comments on TikTok are way more ruthless
Really?
than on Instagram. I have found, like, on TikTok, people just say whatever they want,
Yeah.
and like yeah, it's different. Like I get more kind of sexist comments on TikTok
Yeah.
compared to Instagram. Instagram every now and then, but TikTok is way more.
I feel like people have kind
Yeah,
of dug their heels in on Instagram of like when somebody says something that stupid, you just reshare it to your story and then everyone sees it. That person should feel ashamed of themselves, right? Like,
yeah,
I'm tired of hearing that stuff. Like anytime I see it, I speak up about it, or like I'll message people, be like, you need to cut that shit out. Like,
yeah.
um,
Good on you. Good
well,
on
like,
you.
but it's the same as anything. If they were like, what short people shouldn't fucking like, it's the same thing.
Yeah,
It's we're all here. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you got one arm
yeah,
or three arms or whatever. Like it's we're all finishers, right?
yeah. Exactly.
Nate and I wore oh, I lost the word. Like stretchy pants. What are they called?
What?
Um
Tights.
yeah, tights.
Tights.
Yeah, we wore tights today and like got
Oh,
some
did
like
you?
oh yeah, because
Yeah.
it dates Nate's like put his heel down where he's like, yeah, if wearing tights makes you not a finisher, well then I'm not a finisher. And he wears tights now. And they're cool. They
Yeah.
got like different designs and stuff. But yeah, I was like, get me a pair, buddy. We'll make some content in them. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's
They're great to work in. I want some workwear tights.
yeah.
They're good to work in because I just wear my like yoga pants sometimes.
Yeah. I
And
imagine they're
these
expensive. Yeah.
these ones are but I've had them a few years.
Yeah.
It washes out. They're okay.
Yeah.
Um, they're great.
I was doing like squats and like high kicks in them yesterday. I
Mhm.
was like real excited about it. And they're super comfy. There's just no
Yeah.
pockets. So I found a pair of my shorts from the summer, threw it over top, and now I got my pockets and I'm comfy and
Yeah.
cool. Well,
Yeah.
good. That was an absolute pleasure having you on.
Thank you for
Um,
having me. It was great to talk.
yeah, absolutely. It's I think you're a big inspiration to a lot of people, especially young women. Um, you know, you're out there kicking ass. It's great to see. It's great to continue to see. And
Thank you very much.
yeah, hopefully we get to see you soon.
Yeah.
And yeah. Okay, everybody, be humble, treat everyone the same, and do your fucking job.